helped them all. So our heart goes to them, and I'm sure all our viewers are thinking the same. Now, coming back to our program, as you know, it's called Raajneeti, which is politics. As in a democratic process, what happens is when you cast your votes as a democratic country, and then a person is selected or a group of people is selected, then the right thing to do is you then follow the winner, because you casted your votes and maybe some people went against you or some people went with you, but now that a person, a party is selected, you need to support that party, that person. And that means we, as part of this democracy, should be supporting, should be standing very strongly and supporting our Prime Minister Theresa May. That's the ideal way of going about the democracy. That's what it should be. I mean, and at the same time, the person who is selected, he or she should represent the people irrespective of they voted against or voted in favor.
Yeah.
As a representative of the particular area, she or he should represent everything. But that is just one part of the story. The entire story is different. Sometimes when you have a leader who cannot see far very clearly, who do lots of mistakes in judgments, then as a democratic country, as a people of democracy, you also have a right to change your leader. And something which has happened in this country last 1 month has been really ups and downs and lots of speculation, huge waste of money, waste of time, very important time, and also playing of emotions. Yes, Theresa May, when she decided to go for the election, snap election, it took everybody by surprise, that's for sure, whether it was a Tory candidate or Tory member or it was other party members. They were all, first impression was they were surprised.
Yeah.
Okay, whether shocked or not, that's a second thing. And thereafter, they started planning. And they started contemplating, and there was so much. But in Theresa May's mind, and the plan was clear, to do two things. A, get a clear majority, so that she does not have to refer every time. If I create that image in my mind that a newly born daughter-in-law, when she comes to Indian household, kitchen, every time she's cooking something, she has to ask the mother-in-law, shall I put salt? Shall I put spices? How much? So this was not the way Theresa May wanted to go ahead. So she decided that I can get this election and achieve two things. One, a clear majority, so she can then implement the ideas, bad, good, or whatever. And the second thing, she also gets an addition of 3 years. If otherwise, it would be in 2019 we had another election. So she wanted to achieve two things, 5 years and absolute majority. She achieved one, which is 5 years. If whatever the negotiations are going on right now, if they get through, if she succeeds, then yes, she will have 5 years to implement her ideas. But the other thing, which was absolute majority, it backfired. I mean, it's a clear backfire. What do you think, Amin?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to thank you for inviting me on your show.
You're welcome.
I think this election was one of the most fascinating elections in British history, in a generation. And it was such a short election, just 6 weeks. And in 6 weeks, we went from here to here. When the election was called in April, as you said, we had, no idea. We thought it was a Conservative landslide expected. We were 20 points ahead. And you're right, this wasn't the result we were expecting. And it's sort of gone full circle almost. But I think at this point in time, we need to come together, accept the decision, what has happened, and move forward. And I think, it's only been a few days since the election, and it's been a huge roller coaster of emotions. And I think, all sorts in the newspapers and the tabloids, and then you forget that actually, the Conservative Party is still the largest party in Parliament, and also that we received the largest vote share since 1992. Now, I know that might not be enough for some people, but that we shouldn't forget that. But we should use this time to reflect, what happened, what went wrong, what could have.
Having said that, although the share of the votes to Tories gone up by 6%, but if you look at this percentage of share to Tory and to Labour, if 2% more gone to Labour, this would have been a different scenario. You agree with me? And I don't think that, when the election was declared, even the Labour, we did have few Labour representatives in our studio, and we spoke to them, and they said, yes, we don't know. They were not sure about it. They said, look, it's an election, we will go for election, we try our best, what happens? So they were not that confident. So I don't think the win has to do anything with Labour manifesto or Labour's doing. I think it's done by the Tory itself. The moment the manifesto was out, it backfired. It's such a bad thing that it gave huge advantage to your opponents. And since then the history has been made. As I said, that if by any chance, if there were 2 to 3% more votes gone to Labour, then today would have been a totally, absolutely different story. So that is why, as I said initially, that sometime a leader is carried away by something altogether which is not very visible in their own mind, and they not necessarily agreed by rest of the crowd they are leading to. And that is the time when people should think that, am I following the right person? So
there were so many lessons to be learnt from this election, and you mentioned the manifesto, and I think when the manifesto was launched during the campaign, that was the first sign of things not going the way they were, and we noticed that from the doorstep. Even when I was campaigning, the response we got just 2 weeks when the election was called, to the moment the manifesto came out in 2 weeks, we could all notice the shift. And I think that's something for us to reflect on and learn on, because that was one of the first, hitters, and that's when things started to go in a different direction. But I think, we've been reflecting on this with colleagues, across London. I think the manifesto wasn't the problem. The manifesto, I personally believed fully in it. The problem was maybe, speaking personally, is that the manifesto wasn't explained properly. And our policy, I still stand by it, is the manifesto was true and frank. It had the costings behind it. It acknowledged that we are in a very difficult position, and we do need to take difficult decisions, and our party weren't afraid to make those difficult decisions. However, in hindsight, reflecting on it, you think that when you're going into an election, you do need to offer the electorate something. You do need to offer them some hope. And we need that, I think, in hindsight, if we were to do anything differently, we would do that. Because in comparison to the Labour manifesto, it had no costings. When you talk about tuition fees and all sorts of other promises, people weren't reflecting on whether you could do it or not. It was just seeing it as, that sounds good, let's go with it.
As a young party member, because I'm really impressed. One thing which I have realized in Tory party, and that is they have got quite a few young politicians coming up, and they were given fair chances as well. As a young politician or as a young Tory member and a strong believer of the ideas and things which Tory member would carry. If you sit down, there is always this, the system that when you get affected, when you get defeated, not that you are defeated, but in a way, if you are hands on heart, if you ask yourself, you will realize that yes, you were defeated. The way what you wanted, you couldn't achieve. So in that case, what are the major points you can pinpoint? Say for example, tomorrow there is an internal meeting in Turi.
Yeah.
And then everybody's invited. Okay, this is about time that Madam Prime Minister should come clean and discuss with everything rather than deciding every major decision within her core group, if you like, and then having trouble. So let's everybody sit down and point out that what are the causes or what are the bullet points which actually hurt us. What would you say? Which points would you highlight?
I mean, going forward, as a young politician, this election for me was very, very important because I learned so much. And you mentioned what would you do differently? I would say 3 points. The first is the manifesto. Next time when we present the manifesto, it's not what's in it or isn't, but how we present it, and it should be presented in a different light, more positive and offering hope to the people. The other thing that came out in this election was it had the largest number of young people voting in this election than at any time before. Sadly for me, many of those young people were voting for Labour, which shows that something was wrong. As a young person, I feel, why are they going to Labour? I was hurt because I can see there were some lies, or that, Labour Party taking advantage of this young bloc vote. And it's going in that next time, how can we, the party, and I would go back just to our values. The Conservative Party is the party of aspiration. It doesn't matter where you come from, it's where you get to in life that matters. And for young people, that's crucial, but we need to resonate that message more. The final thing I would...
But did you realize the huge number of young voters not only were voting, but there are lots of huge number of new young voters who actually got themselves registered and they voted against. They simply got registered because they wanted to support Labour. Did you actually realize what was their point? Because unless and until you understand their mindset or what is causing the problem or what is bothering them, you cannot really, resolve the problem.
I mean, I think fair play to Labour. They recognised that and they monopolised on that. They actually encouraged people, even young people, to register actively. Go out and register. Go out and register. If you're frustrated, go and make your voice heard. That was, on their part, a very crucial game part. They registered a whole block, often up to 3 million people, and got them. In terms of listening to what was their problem, if we use the tuition fees example, it is an issue for young people. But I was disappointed that Labour were making these promises, and still to this day they haven't said how they would be costed, whether it's even possible. And it seemed to have, even now a week later, they've sort of dropped that. And I feel disappointed. A lot of young people are starting to clock on that, hold on, we've been used in this political game and we've been let down. But also, to be fair to our party, we should have recognised that and offered something more. And whilst we didn't make it clear enough. We weren't accessible enough. Or approachable for young people to come to us.
So, I mean, you did realize that it is the tuition fee which was the biggest culprit, if you like, which went against you. And you saying that whatever Labour is promising, I mean, reducing the fee or whatever, they are not. They're lying basically. Are you saying that they're lying, or are you saying that they're actually giving sort of delusion?
I mean, it is a disillusion. It's still, to this day, they haven't. We have no idea how they're going to pay for it. I mean, if we could afford it, if the government could afford it, don't you think they would provide free tuition fees? I mean, I remember on the doorstep, with young people, engaging with young people. And they would say that, the Labour Party are offering us free tuition fees. And I would say, but, as the government, as a country, we cannot afford that. If we could, we would. But of course, if you have a leader who's promising you that, you'd vote for them, wouldn't you?
But then that brings the very important issue, which was in the very beginning, which I think also created a big problem. That there was no debate.
Yeah.
if Theresa May participated in debates and asking these questions, that okay, you're promising that there will be no tuition fee, or there will be very limited tuition fees for the colleges and universities. If you're saying that, can you prove on the paper, or can you give us how you're actually going to finance that? So I think that the problem goes back to the Tory leadership, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, at the time, the Prime Minister didn't take part in the debates because she was out knocking on doors. She was engaging with the people, and she visited more towns and cities in this election than Jeremy Corbyn did. But of course, that wasn't reflected. And again, you know, many say that it backfired because to the average Joe or average voter sitting at home in TV would have noticed that absence.
That's right. I mean, these are two things. A, as you said correctly, that she should have participated, as you know, many people objected that why is she not doing it? And secondly, then it's a fault in judgment. If rather than going door to door, if she had participated in those, you know, debates, more people would have seen her, and more people would have would understand that whatever the other party is promising is actually not true. It cannot be delivered. So it was the wrong judgment on Theresa May's part. Don't you think so?
I mean, I think that would always be remembered in this election. It was a bad judgment call, but at the time, given the gap between the two parties, the points lead, you know, even I agreed that as a party, it felt that we should be doing more on the doorstep.
Okay, tell me. I mean, we are almost closing to first chapter of this program. Tell me, if somebody says, just sum it up, you know, sum it up really clearly, genuinely, how would you do it?
How would we...
This election.
This election.
The result of this election. How would you sum it up?
How would we do it out? Well, I would say, you know, it wasn't the result we were hoping for. But there's a lot to reflect on. And we shouldn't forget the positives. We still have, the Conservatives have the largest, you know, share in Parliament and in government, and we should use this strength to come together because we have a number of challenges again with Brexit, and I think I'm feeling a lot more confident this week that we do have the team to get us through it.
Amit Jogia with us. We'll be talking more about the current results, and we're still waiting for DUP to confirm the support to Theresa May, but apart from that, let me tell you that you can also come and participate in this program. You can call us on the studio and you can talk to us. The number will be shown on the screen, and you can send us email as well. And those who are not able to watch us from the home, they can always watch us on the YouTube, that is METV channel. And now we'll take a...
At Leica Mobile, we do things your way. Buy a new SIM with our UK Plan Ultra online and enjoy 15 gigabytes of ultra-fast 4G data and unlimited UK minutes and texts. All of this for the low price of just £12 for 30 days. This 50% off contract-free offer is available on our 4G LTE UK network. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity. Visit leicamobile.co.uk today. Terms and conditions apply. Your data, your way. Leica Mobile.
Pure Heaven. Non-alcoholic celebration drinks. All the fun without the alcohol. Pure Heaven. Make every moment a sparkling moment.
Now available at selected Tesco stores and Amazon.
स्कूल जाना तो एक सपना था, रोज देखता उस खाने वाली गाड़ी को, सबको बढ़िया खाना, खुशी होती थी देखकर। फिर वो दिन आया जब मैं भी गया स्कूल, लगा कि सपने देखने की ताकत मिल गई हो। अरे पेट भरा हो तो पूरा ध्यान पढ़ाई में रहेगा ना। प्रार्थना करता हूँ कि वो खाने वाली गाड़ी हमेशा स्कूल आती रहे। थैंक यू अक्षय पात्र।
आइए हाथ बटाइए ताकि भारत में 16 लाख से भी ज्यादा बच्चों को स्कूल में पौष्टिक खाना मिलता रहे।
in the divine presence of the world-renowned spiritual master, His Holiness Brahmarishi Shri Kumar Swamiji, experience the sacred healing power of cosmic sounds through Vibhuti Yoga, practical, scientific and ancient techniques, physical and psychological ailments during conventions.
On 10th June 2 p.m. onwards in Birmingham, UK. On 11th June 2 p.m. onwards in London, UK. On 16th June 5 p.m. onwards in Brescia, Italy. On 18th June 2 p.m. onwards in Frankfurt, Germany. All are cordially invited.
हेस्टन हाइड वेस्ट लंदन के सबसे शानदार होटल्स में से एक with 303 air conditioned rooms and suites, one of the largest banquet spaces in London, meeting room for up to 1200 people, conferences, musical function, weddings या कोई भी गैदरिंग, मनपसंद भोजन, शानदार आयोजन और बेहतरीन वेन्यू, 400 गाड़ियों की पार्किंग के साथ Heston Hyde. For bookings, call 0208 572 1818.
किस्मत कब क्या करेगी, किसको पता है। खुशी गम, शुभ अशुभ, दुख सुख, आपकी किस्मत का हाल किस्मत कर्मा के साथ आपके अपने चैनल MATV पर।
आज मेरी जा होके मगन तू छोड़ के सारे किंतु परंतु, नाच मेरी जा होके मगन तू छोड़ के सारे किंतु परंतु, मार छलांगे छूले गगन तू छोड़ के सारे किंतु परंतु, नाच मेरी जा होके मगन तू छोड़ के सारे किंतु परंतु।
Welcome back to MATV. We are talking to Amit Jogia, a very young councillor. It could have been a member of parliament if Tory manifesto was different, I would say. But anyway, as I said before, you can follow us on YouTube. You can also follow us on www.matvchannels.com, and you can call us. The telephone number is shown on your screen, and you can participate in this program. You can express your views. What do you think Tory could have done differently to get a better results and so on? But right now we're talking to Amit. Yes, we were talking about, how you sum up what mistakes you did, and next time what is the best way out. I mean, you are still a majority party.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, you don't have complete absolute majority, so there is a negotiation going on as we speak.
Yeah.
And hopefully DUP comes up with a nice decent solution, and then we get on with the business as usual.
Yeah.
But before that, Amit, I just wanted to ask you, when you saw the complete result, that Tory has got 42%, Labour has got 40%.
Yeah.
Did you feel a sense of relief? Because the way it was going,
Yeah.
It could have been anything. I mean, Labour just could have gone 44% or 43%, 2%.
Yeah. I think it was a very strange evening. We were up all night that day.
Yeah.
And I think what was even more strange, there were seats like Kensington,
Yeah.
which safe, conservative seats, which we lost.
Yeah.
But then we made gains in the north, Macclesfield,
Yeah.
and many other seats in the north as well. So it was a very strange seat, but it was encouraging to see afterwards that we did help.
Yeah.
We were the largest party still.
So you had a sense of, thanks God, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, then there was one more seat. It was counted and recounted
That's right,
again, that
yeah.
one seat.
Kensington.
Yeah, Kensington. So
Yeah.
you lost that seat.
We lost that,
You lost that seat,
unfortunately,
yes. now the politics is a very long journey. I mean, I have met some politicians from India, from other parts of the world, from England as well.
Yeah.
They are in politics for a long time. I mean, only last week I met with John Trescott, who was, promoting Barry Gardner and other Labour. So there are lots of politicians who spend their entire life.
Yeah.
Some of them, they join politics accidentally, or something happens, and it just makes them, okay, you know what, I'm going to join politics.
Yeah.
Tell me about you as Amit Jogia, who is 30 years old, very, very young, and there is entire life in front of him. What prompted you to, I mean, you are from a Gujarati family, I suppose, and all Asian families until very recently, they will always say, complete your study, join a steady service, where you're earning enough money to look after your needs, and then do whatever you want. And that goes to people who wanted to play football, people who wanted to play cricket, people who wanted to join anything other than a steady income source. So I'm sure that when you decided to go into politics, as you told me before, that you joined the politics at very early age, at the age of 16. So did you complete your GCSE and then joined, or before that?
So I joined on my 16th birthday. I became an official member of the Conservative Party. But for me, it's the values of the Conservative Party that I've always aligned myself to. I'm very passionate about what we stand for. And for me, it's almost like a second religion. I believe the values help people and are the best for our country. I mean, the early years, I was just a member. I was just an activist.
Did you pass your GCSE and join?
Yes.
You did?
That's right.
What was the initial reaction of your family?
So then I went on to study political geography at university. So after I joined, and I think at the time most of my friends were becoming doctors, dentists, accountants. And I remember I had the grades, and it was such a huge gamble. And even my parents were thinking, "Oh, what are you doing? You should." This is very. What do you do?
And did they tell you,
yeah, exactly.
That's what they said.
But luckily, I had their support. They said, "Why do you want to do this?" And I said, "I love it. I enjoy it." And then they said, "Well, if you're doing something you enjoy, hopefully you wouldn't go wrong." And so far, I've had no regrets.
So you never looked back.
Never looked
you
back.
Always. You were 100% committed.
100%, yeah.
Okay.
And then when I graduated in 2008, 2009, it was the recession. It was the worst time ever
for UK.
And when you came out with a degree, and you think, what now?
I mean, you have relatively less burden on your heads than now, because students who come out with the degree, they will have more debts on their head, which we will talk about later. But you have a lot less burden on your head when you came out as a degree holder. So then what, did you have sleepless nights? Did you have to consult with your family that I was saying you Chisukaru? What happened? Tell me.
I mean, I did. I think that was a very rocky time, that 2008, 2009 period. But I didn't lose hope, and it was 2009 that I, got involved again in politics, and we had the big 2010 election. So that's when I got involved properly, and I decided to stand as a councillor in my home area of Harrow, and that's where it all took off again from then.
Who you were against?
So I was a councillor in Harrow, and it was a local, Labour candidate. But unfortunately, I was unsuccessful. I only lost by 72 votes.
That's not bad.
I mean, it was not bad, but at the time I was still very naive, and you think, 72 votes.
So
is
you
not a lot.
were not expert.
No, it was my first election, and I tried, but I believe in politics, every day you learn something new. I learned something then. And with this election, I know we have different thoughts, and you think, what happened?
So what, you lost the first election as a councillor. Second time, you went for the election.
That's right.
And you won the seat.
Yes.
And then how did you feel? Did you decide that, okay, I'm going to go all the way, stay in politics?
Yeah, I decided, I had a passion for it not to let go.
Yeah.
Whilst I was upset at the beginning, I think it's the fact that I lost my first council seat was the best thing that ever happened, because I could come back, I could reflect, and I could learn. So when I actually won the second time, I was so much more confident. I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I think in hindsight, it worked better.
Okay.
It worked in my favor.
Do you have a huge support from young people in your area?
I do, and I think I have support. I've managed to galvanize support, and I've managed to tap into areas. People who are like, we've never voted Conservative in our life, and I'd like to think that I've managed to engage with them.
Okay. So now that you got into politics, and but there is always something, for people who become doctors, there is something which encourages them or triggers that maybe they were very poor, they couldn't the medicine, or something happened, some accident happened, and they decided, what, I'm going to be a doctor, or I'm going to be an engineer. Was there something in your life which prompted you, or just planted a seed that what, I'm going to change this, I should be a politician? So was there anything happened to you?
Yeah, so it was actually my life story. So, when I was growing up, me and my family were actually homeless.
Okay.
So, I was 3 years old and my family lost everything. We lost our business, we lost our home, we lost our car, we lost our jewelry. We were on the streets. And that stuck with me, forever.
Yeah.
That was a big change. As we went on, luckily we got a council flat.
Yeah.
And that's why I love this country so much, because it gave someone like me a roof over my heads, somewhere to live and excel in.
Yeah.
And we came from a very humble background. We'd lost everything. But, we worked hard, we studied, and we went on. Now, that's why I became a member of the Conservative Party.
Right.
Because we believe in supporting, hardworking families to get on in life. It doesn't matter where you come from.
Right.
I may have started in a council estate, but like everybody else on my council estate, I still live there.
Yeah.
We want to move forward, and we empower people to move forward.
Right.
And going back full circle, at the age of 25, 26, it was the Conservative Party and their policy of the right to buy scheme that allowed me to buy my council flat myself. I mean, a young person like myself, what chance have I got, especially with the background that I have, to buy a property? But the Conservative Party, only them, they gave me that chance.
Right.
So it was that life story. I mean, when I was growing up, I was very embarrassed. I was, you don't like talking about it.
I know,
especially in the Asian community where it's very materialistic.
That's true, yeah.
But it's funny.
Very judgmental.
It's very judgmental, but it's funny that has become my greatest strength.
Yeah.
So all those years when I've tried to hide it, don't tell anyone, it's embarrassing. And now, you think, when I go out campaigning and you think, hold on, I know how hard it is. If I can do it, you can do it.
Been there, done that.
So that's what got me into politics, and said that, I need to do something. I need to give back to my community.
Right. What about your siblings? You have siblings?
I'm an only child.
You're an only child.
Yeah.
So then the situation must be very, very tough when you decided to go against the odds.
Oh, absolutely.
To accountant Asia. Get something. There are 10. Maybe there is a list of 10 professions which parent, as Asian parents would think for the child that Akarima must take you. So you can live happily ever after.
That's right.
But as a only child, this could be a lot more different and difficult.
I've had a very unique upbringing. I mean, I'm an only child, and my parents, they're very elderly. They're nearly 75.
Wow.
They had me when I was late. So even then, you think I've gambled my life away. But this politics, I'm not in politics for me. I'm here for our country, because I believe that this way of thinking, it can benefit everyone. And so far, it's helped out. I mean, there are lots of challenges.
Right.
Even when you're campaigning, you get so much abuse. Everywhere, and you think, why am I doing this? Why do you do this? But you keep going because you believe that it is the right thing to do.
What is the right thing? If say, for example, I always say, and I always believe, that any politician has to be a fantastic salesperson. Because if you can sell your party's values and ideas to the public, general public, you'll be successful. If you don't do that,
Yeah.
then if you are comparatively not as successful
Yeah.
or as clever as the other salesperson,
Yeah.
you will not be able to sell it.
Yeah.
So, do you think you have mastered the skill?
It's all work in progress, and if we bring it back to this election,
Yeah.
I believe our party, the Conservative Party, has the best to offer anybody. We are the party of home ownership. We are the party of education. We are the party of security, and family as well. All of these things, without a doubt, it's
Right.
this party. But with this election, it didn't come out clearly.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I would say that it's not what we offer, but how we present it. That's the main thing.
Right.
Because looking back on it, you think, hold on. We've got the monopoly on the economy. Only the Conservative Party can strengthen our economy.
Yeah.
Only the Conservative Party has a good national security manifesto. How did we still not get those gains?
Yeah.
So there's a gap there that we need to still work on.
So what do you think went wrong? I mean, the policies are right. You were already in power. You had time on your side because it was a snap election. Everything was spot on.
Yeah.
And as you said that you still stand by the policies and the manifesto. So what went wrong?
I think.
And what would you do differently if suppose you're given a chance?
Yeah.
We just turn the clock back.
Yeah.
Okay. And say, okay, do it differently. What would you do?
Well, we've had these discussions over the last few days. I still stand firm that we shouldn't ever overpromise anything, which I still feel the Labour Party do. But it's about how we present our ideas. Now, if we take the social care bit of the manifesto, that gave a big hit. It was unpopular. Now, the ironic thing about that policy was actually for young people.
Right.
It was saying that, that people should be able to pay for their own care.
Yeah.
So as not to burden younger people
Right.
to pay for. So it's a good thing that, young people, you don't have to pay for anybody else's care. People will be able to pay for their own care. Now, that message didn't come across that well.
Right.
And all that came across was the negative connotations
Right.
that we're going to lose our homes.
Right.
But they didn't see that actually for a whole generation like myself, our taxes will not be paying for somebody else's care.
Right.
So, but that didn't come across very
But
well.
then, having said that, there's one question comes to my mind. There was something about the winter package.
Yeah.
Where it's extremely cold.
Yeah.
Government is supposed to pay something, which is happening for many, many years. So was that to be taken away?
Again,
Isn't it?
that's something that wasn't very clear. It was to be taken away, but only to people who did not require it.
Yeah.
I mean, we discussed this with various elderly groups,
Yeah.
And the vast majority of elderly people said, it's £200, £220 a year.
Yeah.
We're living in houses £500,000-600,000.
Yeah.
It's the least of our worries.
Yeah.
And so if that money is taken away from us, it's not the end of the
doesn't
world.
matter, yeah.
And the people who do need it, the
Yeah.
most vulnerable, will continue to get it,
Yeah.
and very rightly so.
Yeah.
But again, that didn't come across.
there was no
And
clarification,
what came
so-
out in the media, it's being taken out.
So was
away.
it then there was no clarification as such, was it?
Again, I think you're right. It could have been more clear. That's where we went wrong. It wasn't the ideas, but how it was
I mean,
presented.
because if you just think about it, if you were not part of the politics,
Yeah.
and if you heard that, okay, the winter package is going to be taken away,
Yeah.
straight away you'll think about your old parents.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So the
Absolutely.
clarity was missing.
Clarity was missing, but what we should have said that if you have elderly people who are living in homes more than £500,000,
Yeah.
I think people understood that no, that's right, they shouldn't be getting it.
Right.
Not to take it away, but that it's
Right.
fair that
Okay.
money should be used
Amit,
elsewhere.
we will be talking a little bit more about these policies and what went wrong, but we'll also talk about the international relations with the new government, but we'll do that after the break.
At Leica Mobile, we do things your way. Buy a new SIM with our UK Plan Ultra online and enjoy 15 gigabytes of ultra-fast 4G data and unlimited UK minutes and texts. All of this for the low price of just £12 for 30 days. This 50% off contract-free offer is available on our 4G LTE UK network. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity. Visit leicamobile.co.uk today. Terms and conditions apply. Your data, your way. Leica Mobile.
Pure heaven. Non-alcoholic celebration drinks. All the fun without the alcohol. Pure heaven. Make every moment a sparkling moment.
Now available at selected Tesco stores and Amazon.
स्कूल जाना तो एक सपना था, रोज देखता उस खाने वाली गाड़ी को, सबको बढ़िया खाना, खुशी होती थी देखकर। फिर वो दिन आया जब मैं भी गया स्कूल, लगा कि सपने देखने की ताकत मिल गई हो। अरे पेट भरा हो तो पूरा ध्यान पढ़ाई में रहेगा ना। प्रार्थना करता हूँ कि वो खाने वाली गाड़ी हमेशा स्कूल आती रहे। थैंक यू अक्षय पात्र।
आइए हाथ बटाइए ताकि भारत में 16 लाख से भी ज्यादा बच्चों को स्कूल में पौष्टिक खाना मिलता रहे।
किस्मत कब क्या करेगी, किसको पता है। खुशी गम, शुभ अशुभ, दुख सुख, आपकी किस्मत का हाल किस्मत कर्मा के साथ आपके अपने चैनल MATV पर।
हेस्टन हाइड वेस्ट लंदन के सबसे शानदार होटल्स में से एक, with 303 air conditioned rooms and suites, one of the largest banquet spaces in London, meeting room for up to 1200 people, conferences, musical function, weddings या कोई भी गैदरिंग, मनपसंद भोजन, शानदार आयोजन और बेहतरीन वेन्यू, 400 गाड़ियों की पार्किंग के साथ। Heston Hyde. For bookings, call 0208 572 1818.
मेरा नाम ट्यूबलाइट नहीं है, मेरा नाम है लक्ष्मण। ये है मेरा भाई भरत। सिर्फ इसे मुझ पे यकीन है कि मैं किसी से कम नहीं हूँ।
Welcome to Raajneeti on MATV. We are talking to Amit Jogia, who is a counsellor from Stanmore.
Yes.
Yeah. And he was contesting against Barry Gardner. Things could have been different, but that's past anyway. Amit, we were talking about the clarity in the manifesto, and we were talking about this winter package.
Yes.
So you think it was not clear enough?
I think it wasn't clear enough. We needed to stress the point that we weren't taking it away from everybody.
Right.
Only the people who are most vulnerable, it will definitely be there. But the others, to make it more fairer.
So those who need it will get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was not going to be taken away, swiped away.
That's right.
This education thing is still is a big subject, a pretty big subject.
Yes.
In few years only, the education fees has gone like 200% up.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a parent. I've got 2 children. Thanks God, one is completing the study, but the other one is just joining university.
Yes.
What do you have to say? I mean, why is it a good thing?
So I think this was such a controversial topic, and what was hurt me was that it's so sensitive, so important to parents like you, to young people as well, and it was used as a political football. And why I didn't like it was because it all comes down to the fact that it's not possible for the country to afford these free tuition fees. But the other thing that wasn't made clear in this argument, this debate, was why people go to universities. I see universities as an investment. People don't go to university just for fun. They go to get a degree not just for a piece of paper, but a degree to get a good job for a particular salary. So it's an investment. You go to university, you take out a loan to get that degree. You get that degree, and then you get the job that you've worked so very hard to get to pay back that loan. So it's a cycle. And that burden, I feel, shouldn't be made on the state or anybody else. You know, the argument was, a lot of young people are against it as well, that why should I'm not going to university, why should my taxes pay for someone else's who is? And that's why, you know, it's pro for the tuition fee, that you will be only you will be paying for your own education. And I think that wasn't made clear in this argument as
But
well.
what I'm thinking is, while you're saying this, that there, say for example, a student goes to university, he or she,
Yeah.
right, and they pay a tuition fee worth what, £25,000
Yeah.
by the time they complete their studies. I'm just talking
Yeah.
hypothetically. That money actually doesn't come out of their pocket, right?
Yes.
So some institution, maybe it's a government institution or a private institution, is actually creating that money
Yeah.
and providing a loan
Yes.
to the student.
Yeah.
Am I right?
That's right.
So practically, it is still provided by government, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that loan is a step up.
Yeah.
And what the argument, I don't get, and I get quite frustrated about, is when people say, "Oh, we can't afford education, we can't afford it."
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, I come from a council estate. You have this loan, and a loan to get you to university,
Yeah.
to get that degree, to get that high-flying job
Right.
that you've worked so hard to get. So
Right.
it's all covered.
Right.
In a cycle.
Now, leaving all this, the issues which were part of the election campaign, which actually bite
Yes.
Tory a big time. But moving on, suppose the deal goes through with DUP tonight.
Yes.
Why DUP? Do you think they are the ideal partners? Looking at the views
Yes.
the DUP has or had in past, and they're still going ahead with that,
Yeah.
for the gay marriages or abortion,
Yeah.
or some other things.
Yeah.
Do you think they might, this might happen that, DUP joins the government for some time, 3 months, 6 months down the road, everything goes well, and all of a sudden they come up with something
Yeah.
which is really bothersome,
Yeah.
which a government cannot afford
Yeah.
to go with.
Yeah.
Is there not a possibility of that? If, for example, DUP
Yeah, I mean,
deal goes ahead with it.
I mean, I think given the results last week, the priority of this, the party should be to form a government to get us through, Brexit and beyond this
Right.
difficult, challenging time. And I think the DUP have got a good track record. There are some concerns, as you rightly said,
Yeah.
about the abortions and about their views over same-sex marriage.
Yeah.
And I know it's an issue of, great. It's very sensitive,
Yeah.
even within our party,
Yeah.
because who have fought so hard for these rights, and I'm sure they will come out in this deal that these rights are not offsetted at all.
Yeah.
And maybe if we look at it the positive side, it might be a good thing that these two come together, that we can promote these values and democracy, how far we've come
Right.
back in Northern Ireland as well.
Right. Now, as I said, that moving ahead, there are 2 to 3 very important issues which, the government is facing. First and most important is Brexit.
Yeah.
And as she said, that no deal is better than a bad deal.
Yeah.
Do you believe in that?
I think the point was that we should never, undersell Britain.
Yeah.
We should hold our ground, and I think that's what this election was all about.
Yeah.
We're negotiating here.
Yeah.
This is the biggest deal we've ever done as a country.
Yeah.
So we need to go into Europe holding, with our demands, making sure we get the best deal out and make sure we get our deal out.
Right.
We shouldn't go in underhandedly, I believe, trying to compromise. Why should we? We're a country of great strength.
Right. So no deal is a good deal or better than a bad deal. You agree with that?
Yes.
Right. Apart from Brexit, there are other concerns like terrorism and community relations.
Yeah.
Somewhere on the line, I feel, and some of our feel, that although the Tory is actually encouraging people like you and so on, but the community relation is not very strong. Am I right to say that? Do you think so?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think the Conservative Party has got a huge track record of engaging with various communities,
Okay.
Involving them in the participation process,
Right.
reaching out to them, addressing their concerns. I mean, we're such a diverse country,
Right.
Something we should be proud of.
Right.
But in relation to terrorism, what worries me that it's become part and parcel of our life, and the fact that we're starting to accept it.
Yeah.
We've had 3 major incidents in the
Yeah.
last 3 months, every month. And even in the last one in London Bridge, you know, I noticed that people thought, oh, it's just normal, and that's wrong. And
Yeah.
I'm really.
We shouldn't accept it.
We
Don't
shouldn't
you think
accept
so? We
it,
should.
no.
So, do you
It's
think
not
there
normal.
can be some real big steps can be taken, measures, you know, as a young person, because
Yeah.
it bothers all of us. But young
Yeah.
young people get really agitated. I've seen some college students and so on.
Yeah.
Because what happens every time something happens, a group
Yeah.
is you know, highlighted,
Yeah.
and then it becomes really problem or
Yeah.
really troublesome.
Yeah.
Until then, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, the terrorist attack happens, people take the steps and, you know, so on. But then when a group is labeled,
Yeah.
then the real trouble starts, the community relation gets strained.
Yeah.
So as a young man,
Yeah.
what do you think is the right approach to deal with this?
I think we should focus on integrating more all
Yeah.
communities under the one umbrella, you know, proud to be British.
Yeah.
And I think it's very sad when, you know, when these happen and certain communities
Yeah.
or certain individuals feel that they are not British or not part of
Yeah.
this community. Now that's a big problem that
Yeah.
we need to address, because we are all one, we are all in this country together. This is our home.
Yeah.
And if someone feels that this isn't our home,
Yeah.
then that's a problem.
I mean, they get in shell, you know, all of a sudden they stand away
Yeah.
and think that they are being targeted or pointed a finger,
Yeah.
which is not the truth.
No.
Rather than coming together
Yeah.
and accepting that, you know, this is...
And we
this
need
is-
to really address this from the root,
Yeah.
because as we've seen in the last few incidents,
Yeah.
those culprits have actually been British,
Yeah.
homegrown, and
Yeah.
you know, you think something has gone wrong in our
Yeah.
system, whereas people who have grown up into our British schools, our British systems,
Right.
have done this against our own country. So something has gone wrong.
Now, something more enlightening, light noted, and that is we all, you know, our grassroots, our roots are from India, right?
Yeah.
We all, whenever something happens to do with India, we get very happy.
Yeah.
We celebrate all our festivals and everything. For some time now, India has got a very strong leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people have lots of expectation from that person. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji.
Yeah.
And in terms of political relations with India, with Narendra Modi and Theresa May and UK, what do you think of it? First of all, what do you think of Narendra Modi?
I think you know, he's a great prime minister, one of the largest democracy
Yeah.
in the world, and I think the report out yesterday
Yeah.
that all communities are behind Narendra Modi in India.
Yeah.
So he's going from strength to strength,
Yeah.
and he's actually a prime minister who delivers.
Yeah.
India is now a global power, superpower. People
Yeah.
want to deal with India, not
Yeah.
the other way around.
Yeah.
And I think for us that puts us in a really good position.
Mm.
We have 1.5, 1.6 million Indians living in this country.
Yeah.
And people like us, we are the bridge between the UK and India.
Yeah.
And we need to strengthen that bridge in terms of culture, in terms of trade. And here in the UK, we have this natural partnership, we have this shared advantage.
Yeah.
We need to make them, you know, take advantage of that.
Right. What is
to
the
get that
party's
safety.
policy? I mean, as an individual, I know you are a big fan of Narendra Modi,
Yeah.
and so is the Barry Gardner.
Yeah.
But that is on the individual basis. What is the party's thoughts and strategies, and you know?
Well, the party has been, you know, engaging with Narendra Modi for quite some time. It was
Yeah.
the Conservative Party who reinstated these relations back in 2012, I think 13, when after everything that happened with the
Yeah.
embargo. So we took that first step forward.
Yeah.
I mean, even with Modi, as a country, India,
Yeah.
it is on the top list
Yeah.
of our priorities. David Cameron, he visited India more times than any other leader.
Yeah.
Even Theresa May, when she became Prime Minister,
Yeah.
she made a point to go to India. You know, her first visit outside of after Brexit was
Right.
to India. So
Right.
it's looking positive, and we've got commitment on both sides.
So you think it's going to be a good relation between India and UK and Narendra Modi and Tory leadership, under the Tory leadership?
I hope so. Yes, I really think so.
Okay. Now something on future. You know, the next election should be, if there is not another election, hope so.
Yeah.
Or if DUP doesn't go through.
Yeah.
And if, you know, Labour goes for the minority. Do you think there is a possibility of a minority government with Labour?
No, I've heard that, and I think they don't have a leg to stand on because the Conservative Party is still the largest party in Parliament. So if anyone was going to create the minority, government, it would be us.
It would be. So there is no base to it. It's just all the talk.
It's all talk. Yes.
Right. And what are the chances of DUP deal going through?
I think it's very, very positive.
Yeah.
I think today, with everything that's happened, that awful incident, I think that's held things back a bit. But it is looking very encouraging, and I hope that something will come out as soon as possible.
Right. In your borough, Amit, there are many different, caste and lingos and, people from a diverse community. It's a very colorful,
yes,
yet very challenging.
Yeah.
Because, you have more people coming from various backgrounds, various countries.
Yeah.
And as a representative, you need to really understand not just their language, but their background, their country, their traditions, and so on.
Yeah.
And their attitude, because it's different from one another. And going ahead as a politician, another 5 years, and then you'll be standing again. And I'm sure that your opponent, who is also going to be there, a very strong candidate, a very strong, very hard fighting person, Barry Gardner. I must give him credit. What are your plans? How do you want to conquer that, to going against somebody who's very strong?
Well, I think this election, it was the first time I was standing, and I learned so much, especially in such a historic election. So I think it's been a huge advantage. I think here in Brent North, I was so grateful. Over 18,000 people voted and trusted me, which I'm very grateful for. I think in the next 5 years, I intend to carry on in politics. When I was campaigning, there was a lot of disillusionment, especially around here where there was a Labour council with Labour MPs. People weren't all happy.
Yeah.
So with this increased mandate, which the Labour opponents may have, I just hope that they deliver, because they're now in the position to address those concerns.
Right.
They're now in the position to actually do something about it. So I think rather than me doing something about it, it's up to them, and I will be monitoring very, very closely what they do and what they don't do, because in 5 years' time, I will have a record of what's actually happened and whatnot.
Amit Jogia, thank you very much for coming on the show. Thanks for spending time with us. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Amit Jogia, councillor from Stenmore, and we are very thankful to him. आज का प्रोग्राम यही समाप्त होता है, और अगले प्रोग्राम में अगले सप्ताह में बुधवार को एक और नई पॉलिटिकल हस्ती के साथ में फिर मिलेंगे, लेकर प्रोग्राम राजनीति ऑन MATV। लेकिन तब तक के लिए अपना ख्याल रखिएगा। Stay safe, look after yourself, be vigilant, and a very good night.